So a question for you relating to your golf swing. Are you in a position during your downswing where you can push the golf club or you can throw the golf club? One of those can really help your golf game and one of them can be pretty detrimental to that. We're going to answer that question for you and guide you in the right direction to help you play some better golf. So the golfers who are in a position where they can throw the club head will generally be better golfers than those who are in a position where they're going to be pushing the club shaft. Unfortunately, I see more golfers who are in that second position and they do exactly that. They tend to push the club shaft and it rarely ends well. It tends to lose power, it tends to lose direction. We often get those curving shots off to the right of the target. So we're going to go through exactly what those two positions are in this video, and then more importantly, how you can move towards the one that we would like, which is that position of throwing the club shaft. So the lesson plan today is really to understand the different positions that we can have that trail arm in, how that relates to the club shaft position, and how that also relates to what you're most likely to do during the downswing. And then we're going to kind of give you a few little drills that can help you feel this, work on this and practice it. And this is great if you're in the situation that I am at home, currently in lockdown. I've got myself a net so I can do some practice on my golf swing. And as I said, there's going to be many of you out there who do struggle with this position. So let's get rid of this golf club to begin with. And we're going to get you to do something which I'm hoping is going to be fairly natural to you, but it'll give us a fair bit of information about this trail arm. So if I said to you, stand up normally and imagine there was a wall in front of you, and with your right hand, I want you to push against that wall. Well, what you would do is you'd sort of put your arm in this position and you'd start pushing. Now, we can take a look at where the palm is facing and what the angle of that forearm and where my elbow is kind of pointing. It's out behind me. Now, if I suddenly said to you, now you've got an object in your hand, doesn't really matter what that is, and I want you to throw it as far as you can. Well, suddenly you would actually change the position of that trail arm. You'd now have the palm facing more up, and you'd have the forearm at a very different angle, and the elbow positioned extremely differently. That would allow you to throw that object. Now, we're not talking about force here and power, we're talking about speed. Which of those two positions would allow you to create more speed? Well, it will be the throwing position. This one here, that pushing motion, is not going to be as efficient at creating speed as this throwing motion. So what happens when we look at the common traits of the golfers who struggle with their downswing? Well, very often what they will do is as they get towards the completion of their backswing and as they start their downswing, their trail arm is already in a position, or it moves towards a position where it is in this pushing sort of arm position, if you like. So from here, those golfers tend to have a pushing motion on the golf club. Therefore, the golf club itself tends to move too much out in front of them. And then from there, they tend to then swipe across the ball and get very, very cramped down at impact. And we see that all the time. What the best golfers are doing is they are transitioning in such a way that their trail arm is in that second position. They can start to now take the weight or the club head and throw it, or at least be in a position where they could throw it. So the golfers who really struggle are often pushing against the handle as they start down. The golfers who are playing this game to a much higher level are getting the weight of the club more behind them through what they're doing with their trail arm, and they are then able to throw the club head down and through the ball. And so that's the first little exercise we're going to get you to do, to really sense putting some energy into the golf club, really putting some speed into it and having a nice natural motion of flow around your body. Take your address to a golf ball. Take your lead arm and you're just going to hook it around the back of your elbow as I've done here. Now I'm going to really try and keep my lead arm and its relationship to my body, and I'm going to try and make a backswing. Now I'm probably not going to get myself fully up to the top, but what that little exercise has done is it's actually controlled the movement of my trail arm. It's now in that position where I feel like I can throw the weight of the club head down towards the golf ball. So what you're going to do from here is I'm not going to hit this golf ball, but I'm going to sense the weight, which is near the club head end, and I'm going to put a little bit of body pivot in, and I'm just going to let the weight of that club swing down and through with a fair bit of flow and a fair bit of speed. It goes through. And that shape of downswing, that whole motion feels quite natural, quite energized, and a fair bit of speed involved. Now if we take those poorer golfers who tend to get into this position here, see I'm in a very, very different position with my elbow incredibly different sensation here. For me to get some energy into that club, it feels almost impossible. It feels like I've got to make some strange movements, and those strange movements are often what we see in golf swings. We see bodies that tend to do things like this, and we tend to see arms that crumple in, and we see all lots of different sort of looks and positions through impact because they're not positioning that trail arm correctly. So how can we take that to a golf swing? Well, I did this drill in a video last week actually, but we're going to go through it in a little bit more detail here. What I'd love you to do, and this is a drill to do when you're hitting golf balls. It's not easy to do, but we can start to work on it. We're going to go up to the top here, and what we're going to get you to do is from the top, you're going to hold your lead arm in position, and as you do that, you're going to push your trail elbow down towards the golf ball. So you can see I'm trying to push my elbow down and towards the golf ball. Now, we're not going to have a huge range of motion there, but all we're looking for is a little bit of a move into that trail arm, which will have an effect in the golf club. Notice how the golf club reacts to my trail arm movement, and the weight of the golf club, or the mass of the golf club, starts to work a little bit more down and behind me. Many of you will know this as shallow in the golf club, which many of the best in the world do. So as we start to make that little movement where the lead arm holds and that trail arm moves down and in, we start to get a couple of things happening. One, we get this elbow and this arm in what we would term an externally rotated position. That's almost an absolute must. We get the weight of the club head behind the body. Again, that's an absolute must. And from here, now we can start to use that body motion, and we can start to get the weight of the club, and we can start to release it through with a lot of freedom. That's the key here, it's freedom. You're not going to feel at any point in this exercise that you're having to manipulate the golf club. You can feel that from the top, it's got a natural movement and a natural swing down and through. So what would that look like hitting a golf ball? Well, we're going to get you to go up to the top, hold it for a second, and you can have one rehearsal, and then you're going to go ahead and swing through. So really trying to hold the lead arm, move the trail arm down towards the golf ball, and then from there really feel like I rotate through and have some freedom in that golf club. And that's really the key message here, is to really feel like that golf club is just on a natural path down towards the golf ball. You're not forcing anything here. So let me do one of those again. So we're going to go up to the top, lead arm hold, rehearse it first. And you can really feel how we're energizing that golf club, and it's creating some natural speed, which is exactly what we want. We can then take that through into a golf swing where the sensation is the same, but the pause is far less noticeable. But we're still trying to create the same feeling of that kind of club head moving down behind us through what the trail arm does. We really need you, if you struggle with your downswing, if you struggle with impact, we really need you to move your trail arm into this throwing position, and certainly move it away from a pushing position. And if you video your golf swing, it's very, very likely that you'll see this look in your trail arm. It's incredibly common. So, the little drill is up, shallow, and then go through. The things that you're going to get from this, probably more speed. You're probably going to be able to deliver the club with a more neutral path, and you're probably going to have a lot more rhythm, a lot more timing in your golf swing, because you're not going to feel as if you're trying to force any movement on the golf club, and that's really, really important. So, move towards a throwing trail arm as opposed to a pushing trail arm. I really think it's going to help with lots of things down at impact, and that's only going to help you golf when we can actually get back out onto the golf courses. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate your views. If you know anybody who really struggles with downswing, you think this video might help them, please share it with them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I'd also love to hear your comments as well down below. So please go ahead down there, drop me a comment. And if you're not a subscriber, there is a link down there as well. It is absolutely free, and I'd love to have you part of my channel and this community here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.